You're listening to All Burgundy and Go Everything powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia. Your host star, myself, Wole, Mo, and the homie Glen. Ray Jeezy is out. What's going on, fellas? It's
Nothing
been a
much,
minute.
man. It's been a minute. It's been a minute, but Commanders have done a lot of things in the last since we talked. So it's time to get back to work.
Yeah, and what's up, Mo? Before we
Ain't
go
much,
ahead.
man.
You
Just
good?
just excited about all. When it's been a lot of turmoil, man, this year. To see the other side of the turmoil, man. I'm excited, even though I'm not a fan. Last year, remember, I said, but I'm interested. So let's see where this takes us.
I think a lot of people around the football world are interested in seeing what the Commanders are going to do. But I'm gonna go to you real quick about something else. Like, 'cause you both African. Did you get to watch the African Cup?
Man, I seen
Like,
Cote d'Ivoire do that thing, baby.
you see it?
I seen Cote d'Ivoire do that thing, man.
Well,
Shout out to
Niger
my
got to
people
the
in
finals,
Ivory
bro.
Coast, man.
You know what I'm saying? Niger got to the finals, but you know it is what it is. Yeah, we second
Hey,
place.
typically Niger know the county last, but this time you just got to take a back seat, baby.
Oh my
The
man,
Gold Coast, baby. That's what Ivory Coast. That's what Ivory Coast. That's what Ivory Coast translates to, man.
oh
You
my
know what I mean?
man.
I've been there too. My uncle used to live in Abidjan, so I did a summer over there. It's a beautiful
Cool,
country.
cool, man. Yeah, it
Shout
was
out to
dope,
them,
man.
man. Shout out to them.
It was dope. I was in Nigeria and I was watching the tournament with my relatives, and they were excited, man. And it was dope. I got overly excited. I don't even watch football, like
Football.
and I don't really watch it often, but yeah, I watch World Cup or whatnot when I get a chance. But yeah, that was to see anytime you watch a sporting event when people get excited, you kind of feel that like that nationality or whatnot, that national vibe, like it's something about it. It
That's what I
gets you
was
kind of
about to get
immersed in
at.
it.
When it's the nation sport, it
Yeah,
holds a different kind of credibility and weight to it.
true. Very true. But hey, we're here to talk about the Commanders. Before we talk about Commanders, let me get into the particulars. Hey, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Go Everything. Also, tweet us at ABG_everything. Hit us up on IG at ABG_everything. And like our All Burgundy and Go Everything Facebook page. Hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our All Burgundy and Go Everything YouTube channel as well. All right, man, it's time for the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. We'll debate who the Commanders should keep or let walk via free agency. We could talk about the coaching announcements, and we can do that. But we're gonna probably do that a later show. So make sure folks who are tuning in now are like, "Why they ain't talking about the coaching situation?" Well, we can do that later on. Probably the next show we'll talk about the coaching situation. So just giving y'all the heads up that we're going to talk about it. But we want to go a little different because we know everybody talking about the coaching situation. So we want to talk about some free agents that will hit the market for the Washington Commanders. All right. Let's get right into it. Washington's getting everything in place. I just mentioned they got their coaches in place. They pretty much got their front office in place. But now it's time to talk about the Commanders free agents that Washington have to make. They have to make that decision about. So here are a few notable names of free agents. You got Curtis Samuels, wide receiver, cornerback Kendall Fuller, Cam Curl, safety, linebacker Cody Barton, safety special teams ace Jeremy Reeves, kicker Joey Sly, running back Antonio Gibson, tackle Cornelius Lucas, guard Sadiq Charles, defensive ends Casey Toohill, and James Smith Williams. All right, so first off, out of that list, other than Cam Curl, I'm gonna start with you, Mo. Who is the most valuable free agent that Washington needs to bring back?
On this list here,
Other than Cam Curl, we all know that Cam Curl is the one, but other than Cam Curl,
whew, I'm gonna say one of the big boys. I'm gonna go Sadiq Charles because of his versatility. He still
okay,
has some youth behind him. I think with
okay,
some better coaching and a better line situation, some of his faults can be masked.
okay.
You know what I mean? And because he's played multiple positions, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, I
he's
got
played on
you.
both sides also, so there's some versatility there. Um,
So we talk about guard and tackle,
yeah, guard and tackle, right? And then maturity and a new staff and coming and getting some new life.
Yeah,
And we'll see what they do with the rest of the money to fortify that offensive line to make it a little bit more simpler. But as I look at the list, because of his youth and what his ceiling could be based off of when he was drafted and whatnot. I'm gonna go Sadiq Charles.
I like that. Like you went a different route. Glenn, yours. Who off that list?
I gotta go Kendall Fuller because of the veteran, him being a veteran, and veteran cornerback, keeping the young guys with a new coaching staff, a veteran coaching staff. He might be able to translate and help them maneuver into this new curve because, of course, there's gonna be new terminology, new things coming in. Fuller has not been bad with his organization, but he can help the young guys develop. He knows that he's on kind of the downward end of his career coming up. Still pretty young, but as far as corner wise, it's coming to an end. So he can be that veteran in the room that can help the younger guys mature. The Quan Martins, the Forbes guys that develop a little bit more and to help and also be like that player coach, right? Where they don't understand where the coaches come, he can be that player coach. So I think Kendall Fuller is one of the, in my eyes, when I look at this list, the important guy that you can come back.
Also, for me as well, like I like this discussion because everybody's coming with a different type of player, and they're just all sides of the corner with it. For me, I'm gonna go with a guy who's very productive, and Curtis. And it's wild for me to say this, and Curtis Samuel. And if you know me, I've talked when Commanders signed him. I was like, why are they signing this dude? And why are they paying him this much? But last year he was very productive. To me, he's probably one of the in terms of impactful plays, I thought he made most of the more impactful plays for his team at wide receiver last season. And if you asked me going into the season, I would have told you, yeah, Kendall Fuller. Curtis Samuel, they can let go, whatever. But I do think he kind of showed his value in terms of last season, making big plays for the team, and was to me a guy that was very reliable for starter at the time in Sam Howell. So when I look at that list in terms of guys that I feel like, other than Cam Curl, I would say for me it would be Curtis Samuel, just because of how reliable he was for the team last year and consistent.
When I heard Glenn say Kendall Fuller, that was, remember, I paused before I went. That was my initial, but like I then thought of Dan Quinn. I thought of how he likes to play defense, and I don't know if Kendall Fuller could feel that right now. You know what I mean? When I'm looking at the way that the corners played in Dallas and the way that we know the Legion of Boom played, I'm pretty sure they're going to bring that cover 3 zone primarily here, especially with the skill set of Emmanuel Forbes. I don't know if they can afford another year of Fuller taking valuable reps
from a younger player.
From the young guys. Especially
because of their draft, though. It will depend on their draft. It'll depend on their draft.
But, and I know it's a new regime, but like seeing that they drafted two DBs last year, and they're going to have to play, right? We saw Quan Martin, but we saw him later.
I think he's a safety, bro.
And I think he's a safety. I was about to say that. I think that he's a safety, or they could use him in that star position where he's like that nickel back, whatnot. So I think that will then lend itself to Kendall going, because Kendall will probably fill that role. I think that's what better suits Kendall's skill set from what we've seen.
I agree with that.
I don't know if this fan base can see Kendall Fuller get beat again.
But you know what? It's wild. You say that. I just felt like even that, to Glenn's point, Kendall Fuller was probably the more consistent cornerback last season. The dude that be real. The dude he under contract and he's younger is St. Juice. That's the dude to me get beat and just holds all the time. Like I know people don't like. I know that people like to gas him up. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like that's the dude that you worry about in the secondary over anybody. I mean, Forbes has issues.
Not only getting beat, but St. Juice is going to get you a 15-yard penalty.
That's what I'm saying. Like, well, you talking about? You mean the PI? Not even 15.
PI.
Yeah, that's 10 plus. He getting 10 plus.
I think St. Juice is another player that
he fits a Dan Quinn system, though.
Right. I feel like he played outside of where he should have been. Outside of his
I agree with that.
I think that for this team, if we take it back to the original Legion of Boom, he's more like a Brandon Browner, that big corner. If he wants to put his hands on you, you could, but he can still get back, and you still got to, with the cover 3, it makes it mask
everything.
It leaves everything in front of them. He can come up and be a tackler, even if they catch the ball and things like that. So I think a lot of these guys were misplayed. We've seen
a lot of them are though. A lot of them were.
I think we've seen it date back to the Josh Norman acquisition of getting a guy that was in a certain system and playing him outside of that system under Jack Del Rio. And, forcing the issue, and he didn't have to, like trying to put St. Juice in the slot, things like that. Like let him play outside. Let him see everything in front of him and see what plays he can make and what he can get his hands on because of the length that he has, right? And then see what Quan Martin has for you. You're gonna get Forrest back this year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At the free safety to pair with Cram Curl, as we assume that he's gonna be back, right?
I believe you will be.
I think that tandem with Emmanuel Forbes putting on probably a little bit more weight and improving because of the play style fitting what he does. I think that remedies the secondary like immediately with just what they have, right? Not even knowing what they're going to bring in and what they're going to add, right? So I think there's a lot to look forward to there based off of the guys that are on the roster. We know they have $90 million and everybody wants to spend this $90 million.
Yeah,
but like
right.
I think the secondary is a lot more promising than a lot of other position groups on this team, right? And my only thing against your pick with Curtis Samuel is the price tag that's going to come with him because he's already played for $10 million a season, right? Yeah. I don't know if you want to carry another $10 million receiver with Terry making 20, and then Jahan
it's very
first round draft pick.
No, these all those valid points. I'm just saying that it's a guy that I feel like you have to actually go to the table and be willing to try to negotiate rather than just letting him walk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with you. I feel like the money's high that you got to let him walk. But I'm just saying in terms of a guy that let's be cute a buck. The only person that's going to get paid the money that we're referring to it in terms of big money in this list would be Cam Curl. Like, only you're willing to pay big money to. Like, willing to. Everybody else, I feel like if they're going over their region, like for instance, a lot of people love like Antonio Gibson. Now, what would you say is Antonio Gibson's market? I think he's a value. He at times shows you ability. I mean, shows you something that you want to keep him on your roster. But what is his market value?
Look at Glenn. Go ahead.
He ain't fumbling. Glenn ain't fumbling like that. He ain't fumbling like that, Glenn. You like he ain't fumbling like that this year.
You got better, but again, you got running backs that you can bring in that you have, right?
Yeah, like
Rodriguez could share the load, right?
Yeah. It's a different type of back, though. He's a different type of back.
Yeah, Brian Robinson can be back. Curtis Samuel's market value is $11.5 million a year, according to Sports Track, right? Yeah. His average is $11.5 a year. When you picking up Curtis Samuel, the average the deal will be 3 year deal, $34 million. That was according to Sports Track. Now, when you go to Antonio Gibson is just a little bit different, right? Because again, Antonio
running
Gibson,
back cheaper. Running backs are cheaper.
Right. Running back a little bit cheaper here. Antonio Gibson, before I get to his money value, Washington Commanders can do better than Antonio Gibson, right? You got somebody out there called Derrick Henry.
See, I'm not trying to spend that kind of money.
That's a free agent.
That's what I'm saying. But again, it's not a knock on art. So you said Derrick Henry. I don't think for this routine, because if you got Brian Robinson Jr., there's no need to have. And I love Derrick Henry. Don't get it twisted. But then what do you do with Brian Robinson Jr.? Then what do you do if you get a Derrick Henry? What do you like? That's like in terms of
Robinson Jr. can't be the change of pace.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like we're talking about like the money, right? Like, is Derrick Henry a better player than Brian Robinson Jr.? Yes. That's like I'm putting that at yes. But is Brian Robinson Jr. a good running back? Yes. But if you get Derrick Henry, then you don't really need Brian Robinson Jr. There's no need for Brian Robinson Jr. anymore. It's not even an Antonio Gibson thing. That's more of a Brian Robinson. Because the reason why I mentioned Gibson is that Gibson is different from all of them. Mm-hmm. Like, he's different. Like, he is a 4-3 dude, scat back type dude. So if you're gonna replace, my thing is like if you're gonna replace him, and you can replace him, Glenn, I agree with that. It gotta be another scat back. It gotta be a scat back. You know what I mean? And you can do it in the draft. You don't really need to.
The scat back is Curtis Samuel because Curtis Samuel did everything.
Well, he may not be back though. He may not be back.
If he doesn't be back, so yeah, if you have to choose one of the two, right? You go Antonio Gibson because he's gonna be the cheapest. Antonio Gibson's market value is about $3.6 million. So that's an $8 million difference between Curtis Samuel and Antonio Gibson, who was once a receiver, right? So if you can catch the ball, you ain't really got to worry about too much fumbling issues. But again, it goes back to Cliff Kingsbury. How does he want to use Curtis Samuel? How does he want to use Antonio Gibson? We knew how EB used him. We know how Scott Turner used him. Now with Cliff Kingsbury, does he fit into the system that Cliff Kingsbury want to run?
Though. They both do.
Or does the Curtis Samuel fit a little bit better?
They both do.
Curtis Samuel, Jahan's right. So somebody. So now you're looking at you got to pick and choose. So now if they spend the money if they spend more money on offensive linemen, right? and you can keep Antonio Gibson, let Curtis Samuel walk.
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that with those two guys, like with Curtis Samuel,
yeah,
with all the draft picks that this team has,
you can draft.
you
can
can draft
somebody
a young guy, third, fourth round that can give you that kind of ability.
Yeah, you tried the running back too. Real talk.
Yeah, I mean, go absolutely. I said that on the previous show. I know. I believe.
Not a
I
project.
absolutely believe that there's. I absolutely believe that a running back is great and drafted for the Commanders.
You can draft him.
I don't see a way.
It'll be a scat back. It won't be, and it won't be a downhill running because you got
it'll be a like because my thing with Antonio Gibson is yes, we know he ran 4.3 and all that, but we didn't see that 4.3 show up on the field a lot.
Yeah,
we didn't
rarely.
see that.
You saw it rarely. You saw it rarely. I agree.
And when you're talking about the turnover for this team and trying to breathe in new culture and all of that, like as much as you may not want to see some of these guys go, these guys are expendable. Yes. These guys can be like you can put somebody in that position and get that same production for less money and put your bang for your buck where you need it at. This team needs to be built from the trenches out.
Very true.
Cut all this pretty stuff out. Build this team from the trenches out so they can have the identity that this fan base and this area needs, especially when it gets cold, so that when them games come, they can run the ball, they can play action the way that they need to, because we don't know what the quarterback situation is right now. All right. So you have to look at this like we got to get back to the basics. Got to get back to the basics in order to expand again until we find out what more of the pieces that are going to be filled in the next month when free agency starts. So we have to kind of build this team from what we see that they have until further notice.
Glenn?
When free agency starts in March, man, I think one of the biggest things they have to do, if you could get a lineman in free agency, if you get a solid lineman in free agency, right?
Oh, you can't. There's one in Dallas that's coming out.
Right, you know what I'm saying? If you know you're going quarterback at number 2, right, then you go get a lineman in free agency to tell us what Washington's going to do, right? If in early March, free agency starts before the draft, and they go get themselves a couple of linemen, some good free linemen, we know where they spending the money at, right? They need linemen and they need linebackers. So in this case, you do that. You could get a young receiver, right, late in the round too. Like I mentioned, that receiver, the scat back type guy. So you don't have to keep these guys. So they have to become real smart and money wise, and also not only smart money wise. And I know Wole don't like this word. You gotta have guys. You gotta have character. And when I talk about character, I'm not talking about character like Ron Rivera talking about character. I'm talking about the character where you know what I know that word. That's why I use it. You hate that word, right? I'm talking about character when you're good and you get in an organization, but you're a dog at heart, right? True. I have good character, but I'm a dog. You can have good character but be a dog, and this team has to draft some dogs. And anybody who's not a dog needs to go away. And Curtis Samuel is that dog. Antonio Gibson, I don't think it has that dog in him.
I don't know if Curtis Samuels is a dog, but
he a dog. I can hold you. He a dog. He got dog mentality. You got he got dog mentality.
Curtis Samuel go get it. He's an extra guy. He'll go get the ball. He go do whatever you need him to do. Why you think my man Sam Howell went to? Who did Sam Howell go to most of the time? Just go look at it.
Curtis Samuel.
Who did he trust?
Curtis
Samuel. Curtis Samuel. So again, if you keep Sam Howell, Curtis that dude.
I'm just gonna hit y'all with the Drewski meme.
Okay, I'm gonna say why. He a dog. He a dog. I've seen because I've watched a lot of Curtis Samuel over my life because of being a Michigan fan. He a dog. Because he's not a position player. What I mean by that is if you want to play running back, he'll play running back. You'll play receiver. You want he's that type of dude. Like you know what I'm saying. Is he Debo? Not because Debo's
versatile. That doesn't make him a dog.
No, it's animals you want him. You gotta talk to him, bro. Real talk. You talk to him. You know what I'm talking about. He a dog. Like he got a dog mentality. Real talk. But
he's from my neighborhood in Brooklyn, so we all good.
Yeah, I'm being real. Like he built different.
Erasmus strong. So
he built different. I may not be a fan of Curtis Samuel in terms of mentality. We talking about the mentality. Yeah, he got the mentality, but I don't think he gonna. But even that, so
I just don't think that's worth $11 million.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree with that. Like, I'm totally agree with that. Like, I wouldn't sign him for $11 million. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I wouldn't. But I do think he played enough. I guess to be fair to him, because my point is to be fair to him. He played himself into a discussion in a meeting because it was first the whole thought process was they're gonna cut Curtis Samuel. They're not gonna even try to re-sign Curtis Samuel. That was it. But he played himself because what he did last season. He played himself into a point where people are now saying you may want to keep him. So he played himself into that discussion. But I will add this too, though. Also, I'm adding up. Talk about another player. So this team, like we'll talk about one coach they hired. They hired Ken Norton Jr. and Ken Norton Jr. and Dan Quinn. They coached in Seattle, and Dan Quinn and Ken Norton Jr. coach Cody Barton. And so he's a guy. Obviously, when you bring in a regime, you see somebody you coached up before, you may want to bring him back in.
You need a glue guy.
Exactly. And I don't like Cody Barton, so I'm not saying I don't want him out. I'm with you, Glenn. But I'm gonna start with you, Mo. You know the situation. You've seen it before in football. We've all seen it. Do you think it's a possibility Cody Barton, because he's a free agent, it's a possibility that he can be back in DC?
Man, absolutely. I mean, you talk like for everything you said, his former coaches are here. You talk for the same reasons that Glenn said for Kendall Fuller earlier is what I'm gonna say for Kendall Barton, especially in
Cody
a position,
Barton, yeah.
especially in a position of need, especially in a position that's going to see a lot of turnover, and the lead guy is in some turmoil right now and facing a contract dispute ahead of himself because it's a contract year for him, Jamin Davis, right?
Yeah.
So you got to have a stabilizing force that can teach, and we know how important linebacker assignments and the role a linebacker plays in the defense is. A guy that knows the defense in and out, he's going to know the verbiage. Is somebody that can communicate, somebody that can be trusted early on in the process until somebody else steps up that has greater talent than him. But you can't beat what he knows between his ears right now with this staff.
Yeah.
So I think Cody Barton absolutely has to come back. He's not going to be a big figure in terms of salary. He's going to be a glue guy. He's going to have special teams. He's going to have special teams value. Like you, those are guys that you keep. You just don't want him to play much because you don't want that to rear its ugly head again. And like I said, this fan base is looking for a clean slate. True. They don't want to see much of the things that were happening before. That's why I think a lot of these guys are going to have to be shuffled out, and new guys are going to have to come in. But you keep a Cody Barton just for continuity purposes, or at least through camp, so that people can learn.
I agree. I kind of agree with that. I kind of can see that happening to him being a guy that may not start, but you sign him as depth. I can see that.
Right.
Glenn, your thoughts?
No, I don't. I really want this dude to get out of town. But I can see what most points.
No, yeah.
When I say get him out of town, I mean again.
No, you're right. Get him out of town. I'm with that too. But Mo made great points though. Go ahead.
You bring a great point. You bring in some linebackers, right? Because we know that is a need, right? Yeah. That is a definite need. There's been a need for a while. We don't know Jamin Davis' situation. We don't know the situation with the court stuff, right? That Jamin Davis that is going to. We don't know if the league's going to hand Jamin Davis a suspension, right? So you got to be able to have some people that take place. We saw what Cody Barton can do in the defense, right? We saw that, and again, it is he's slow, right? He's slow. He may know it, but his feet and his head ain't going together, right? It did not, and people are taking advantage. So what we need to do is this: they need to bring in some good linebackers, and somebody even bring in a system. They can work with them or get. If you want to keep Cody Barton around, again, for the same thing you said, as I said with Kendall Fuller, to teach the older guys, teach the younger guys the system so they can move a little bit quicker. Do that. I think I would really another free agent that is not on our list is Jabril Cox. I would keep Jabril Cox before I would keep Cody Barton.
He's a free agent, and he also was. Yeah, I guess he was Dan Quinn too, because he's in Dallas, but he didn't get no burn. Yeah,
he didn't get no burn, but I would keep Jabril Cox over Cody Barton, a young athletic linebacker who can go and
I wish he got an opportunity. He just never got an opportunity here. I wish I would got at least to see him.
Yeah, he never got an opportunity. So
I think you not seeing him with the woes that the Commanders had at linebackers tells you everything you need to know.
Oh yeah, but you can't trust the staff, homie. I feel you though. But you can't trust
you know what, Wole? That's another point. That's another valid point.
But he played a little bit late in the season when Ron took over. If you go back to the stats and look at it,
he played a
little bit late. He caught a couple tackles. So Ron played him. Jack didn't.
Like I said, I don't know. Like you can't trust the staff. So I don't even know.
You can't trust the staff. So
that's why, to most point, you don't know how some of these players can do with better coaching. You just don't know. So I'll start with you, Mo. You know, I mentioned Cam Curl earlier. Free agency. Do you see this team franchising them?
I mean, I think the easy answer is yes because of
Mm-hmm.
his value to the defense, but that's also under the old regime. We don't know what they're going to
Exactly.
bring
Good
here.
point. Very good
We
point, bro.
with the safety number being projected at $16.2 million, I do
Mm.
not think he has coveted that kind of bag.
Yeah.
I'm not here to tell anybody or disparage anybody from signing a man that has worked hard for a team that
Mm-hmm.
made his way up from a 6th round draft pick, I believe, or 7th round draft pick.
Was it
Uh,
seven? I think it was six or
6th or
seven.
7th, one of the
I think it
two,
was seven.
right? I mean, I'm not one to, especially when you come in as that low of a draft pick and you become an immediate starter and you have impact on a playoff team, and
Yeah.
we see when you're not there what happens and how it
Mhm.
looks and yada yada. But $16.2 million, knowing some people that have played in the NFL at the safety position that are currently there and what they went through in the past couple of off
Seventh
seasons,
rounder. Seventh rounder.
yeah, but you're
Yeah.
talking about from hundreds of
Jeez.
thousands of dollars to 16 million with a franchise. I think that's a crazy jump for a 1 year contract that you have to pay out. So that automatically bumps that 90 million down to 74 million. With the
Mm-hmm.
woes that this team had, I don't think they can afford to sign him. They can afford to franchise him. I think they have to find a deal to sign him to an even number. Because
Yeah.
16, I think 16. If I'm not mistaken, Derwin James is the highest paid safety in the league.
Yeah.
But like that came with him being
Earlier.
all pro at two positions one
Yeah.
year,
1 year.
multiple all pros, multiple Pro Bowls. Cam Curl
Yeah.
has none of the requisite credentials outside of what his importance to this team,
To this team.
to
Yes.
this team.
Yeah.
And so I think I think that's gonna be a rough sell to a lot of, especially with a new regime that didn't draft him. So we had to
Yeah.
think
Right.
about that too. There's
I
no
think
there's no loyalty to him, even though he's been a formidable player because they didn't draft him.
Yeah.
and I think that goes to what Lake always says. He's good in Washington, but would he be good everywhere else? Right? He,
Anyway,
he's
yeah.
he's a big star in a small pond here in Washington. Would he be there everywhere else? So
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I like Cam Curl, but to Mo's point, this is the thing I've always, I won't say problem. He's played well, so I don't like to call it a problem. But when you think of safety play, you think of dudes who make wild plays, right? Like, we had one here, rest in peace, and Sean Taylor, a wild player. You see Earl Thomas was in Seattle, wild player.
The
Like even
Palomalus, the dog fingers of the
Palomalu,
world,
A
Ed Reeds.
Reed, like wild players. Like
Yeah,
you get safety, you think, okay, they like even
if you bring
Rod
it to
Woodson, like
about
when
you
Rod
bring it to
Woodson, Charles
current
Woodson,
times, you have your Tyrann Matthews.
Tyrann Matthews,
You know what
like
I
you
mean?
make him impactful, like game changing plays. And not to say that Cam Curl, he makes big time plays when you got to view the footage, like the film, and you break down like, oh, he did this, he had to cover from here to here and did this. But at the end of the day, just like a cornerback, you know what I'm saying? Unless you like Sauce Gardner, like people ain't catching the ball at all. 9 times out of 10, you want to do like the Cowboys, like the rookie for the Cowboys. Young boy was getting pick sixes and taking it to the
Mm-hmm.
house. Like
man,
that's
yeah,
that Diggs, like the younger brother, like what he was doing, like he may not be the best corner in terms of coverage, but he's changing the game in terms of getting picks. So, like, I do think that for him and the safety position, I don't know you get 16 anywhere else or anything like that because, like Mo said, like you're good. I think everybody knows that you're good in the league. You great well on PFF, like you're good, like right. But at the end of the day, when you think safety, you thinking like impact player who gets that type of money, right? Like you looking
yeah.
at a safety who's getting you interceptions in a year, like giving you maybe three. I'm not going some lofty number, but like 3 picks
Your
a year.
Minkas, right? Your Minkas, your
Yeah, you know
Justin
what I mean.
Simmons,
Like,
like
and it's
those
not
type
enough.
guys.
And I feel like I love Cam Curl. I want them to bring him back. That franchise, I wouldn't hate it, but I do also know, like what Mo's saying, like at the end of the day, when you talk about the safety, that's what you look at. Like when even we talked about a defensive end, like a defensive end, he got a bunch of pressures, but you ain't getting sacks. Nobody cares about that when it comes to paying somebody. Nobody cares about pressures for real. You care about the sack total.
Mm-hmm.
Give us
You
that.
get you
Let me
pay
ask
the
you
sack
guys a
total.
question. Let me ask you guys a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is Do we consider Cam Curl better than like Kevin Byard?
At this point in time, his career,
Like right today, is he
Yeah,
better than
at
Kevin
this point,
Byard?
at this particular point in time, yes,
You
I
think
think
he's
so.
better than Byard from Tennessee?
So when he went to trade to the Eagles, I didn't think he was that good. Like I think Byard is a better player. You said now at this point in time of his career
Is he
as a
better than Buda
player.
Baker?
Buddha, how many games Buddha missed this year? I like Buddha too a lot.
Like these are the guys that make these guys make 13, 14 million dollars. And I
I
know
think
every year
I think he's in the. If you're talking about play for play, I feel like Cam in a different system could be just as good as those dudes. But I just feel like play for play, like at this point, if you told me is he better than them like last season, I would say no easily. But I don't feel like those dudes this season. I don't feel like those dudes have been the same this season.
I
If
think
that's the
he's like
thing,
if you ask
he's
me
in
to
there.
never
He's in their realm. He's in their realm. This you talking about this year, last year? Well, this year, last year, whatever you want to call it.
I can't rest assured I can't sleep at night saying that he's in the Buda Baker and them category because of the
If he
plays
is
they make.
slightly lower, he's slightly lower.
But,
He's not like thoroughly off of them. Like he's
but it
slightly
goes back.
lower.
It goes
I
back to
don't
my
see the
point.
plays though. I don't see the plays made that you're talking
But
about.
Buda Baker, and them ain't making big plays. Didn't make big plays last year.
Big plays, but Cam is
And I
making
love Buda
tackles.
Baker. Look at Buda Baker. Didn't do that much last year, bro. Like I'm kidding.
Yeah,
But
Cam's a short
that's probably the
tackler.
first
He's
time
always
Buda
going.
Baker ain't
But I'm
done
saying
much
that's my point.
though.
That's why I told you last year. That's what I said. That's what I said.
Right.
Like that's what I'm saying. I'm not going off the track. I'm just saying like that year because you're going now. We're gonna judge you like off the year before. Like that's how we're gonna judge you.
For example, Eddie Jackson got cut today.
Who?
Eddie
Yeah,
Jackson,
I think I like
he got
Eddie
cut
Jackson a
today.
lot. I like Eddie Jackson a lot.
And I think he stole for a couple of years, but don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
But like he was making $14 million, and they found him to be
Yeah.
expendable because they got the young boy Brisker from Penn State, and all these kind of guys. And
I think Cam Curl is vital to this defense, right? The thing
He's
is
vital to the Rivera defense, though. To most point, he's vital to the
Rivera defense. And so the evaluation I take is he vital to this defense, and are they willing to pay him for this defense, and will he be as productive in this defense? If in Cam Curl is the one player that will probably get hurt by the fact that the regime changed.
I will say this though, for real. If you look at it, because we're going to talk about Dan Quinn and his body of work, I kind of think Cam Kirk will look even better in the system
because he's going to be Cam Chancellor.
Yeah, exactly. So to go on the other side of it, Dan Quinn could be looking at him like, I ain't use this kid right.
Nope.
Like I can do this. I can
work with this.
Yes.
Like
Dan Quinn know this. He's had, like you said,
so
he had Sherman. He's had like the Earl. He's had, like you said, Chancellor. He Browner. Like he's seen. He'd be like, he can cover tight ends, and he can cover tight ends.
I'll say this.
The bottom line is this: are they? We know all that, and we got that. Are they willing to pay him the money that he deserves to stay?
Dan Quinn wanted maybe, but go ahead, Glenn. Go ahead, Mo.
I'll say this: he's better in coverage than Cam Chancellor was.
Yes, facts.
Yes.
He may not be the thumper that Cam Chancellor was, but you just need to get the man down on the ground. Yes. He does that well.
Yeah.
So he's going to be a versatile piece in this defense if they keep him, and he's going to be that hero halo type of safety. Yeah. And you got the guy over the top of him, you know what I mean? And they can play in unison. But like him on a tight end and him in the flats and him in that intermediate area, right behind the linebackers, because we know the linebackers are susceptible to getting beat.
Yeah.
I think that increases his value, but I go back to what I haven't seen too many plays with his hands on the ball to warrant that kind of paycheck. The guys like him in last season's roundup of free agency, were making $8 million, $9 million, $10 million max.
He'll probably make. I think to be real.
If you want to give him double digits, I'm okay with that. Like the beginning,
not 16. Yeah,
if I'm him.
But you gotta look at it this way, though, Mo. The reason that you didn't see his hands on the ball much is two reasons, right? One, people went over top. They was beating the corners, right? That wasn't his job. Two, they were beating the linebackers. They would get a running back on a linebacker or get the linebacker behind. That wasn't him neither. So, but he would be effective in the tackling. And Cam, he'll be around the ball. But the Washington defense as a whole didn't get interceptions last year or any year.
And I hear that point.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that point, but remember what he is for this team versus what he is in the league. You got to be sold on him. If you're sold on him, pay him. Yeah. And I'm not against him getting paid because I feel like from a 7th rounder to become what he's become, amen. Get paid, brother. Yeah. But like when you got a new regime, you talking about and you got to look at the track of the people that's going to make the picks. Because this is Adam Peters' decision.
Yeah.
Adam Peters doesn't play. He doesn't pay big. Well, the 49ers didn't pay big time safeties. They went and found those
Drafted.
guys like
Yeah.
Deshaun Gibson is still in the NFL catching interceptions left and right. He's been in this thing about 10, 11 years. They're paying him like $3, $4, $5 million. Right?
Mhm.
Before that, they drafted Huafunga. Right? They
He was
drafted
good though.
Huafunga.
Yeah, he was. He
He
was
was all
hurt.
pro last year. Right?
Did he get
So
hurt?
he got hurt this year. He tore
That's
his
why.
ACL.
I know he was killing. Yeah.
It was Jameer. I think Jameer Gibbs tore his
Yeah.
ACL or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But like prior to that, it was Jimmy Ward in that position for the San Francisco 49ers. And they let him walk last year with D'Amico Ryans because they didn't want to pay him. So like is the position of value versus the player, right? Because they did not draft this guy. Yes, he might have all this upside, but like I can also say the tape doesn't say that he's
Well, that's to see that I think the tape does say. See, this is the thing. Like
the
Dan
tape doesn't say
Quinn.
he's a hands-on player. And like you got this
What you mean hands on? What you mean hands on? I was good about what you mean.
like hands on the ball.
Oh, okay. You talking about ball hawk. You talking ball hawk. You talking ball hawk.
That's what's going to get you that 12, 13, 14, 15.
I get no. I agree with that. I don't think he's. I think you either. I'm gonna be real. I think it's either you have that or you have it. You don't.
What did Cam say? What did Cam say about Brock Purdy? It's game changers and game managers.
Yeah.
If we was to look at Cam Curl as a safety, which bucket would he fall in?
Probably
he's a game manager.
Game manager. No, it's a good factual statement. That's a factual statement. But I do think that I do think that I'm like put it this way. Not think. I'll put it this way. Because he does grade high in PFF, so I'm gonna give him that. He grades pretty high in safeties. He was great
because he can cover. Because he can cover.
Can cover. So which we do know. Which we do know, which that makes you very, very valuable for a safety. Let's keep it a buck. Like safeties who can cover tight ends in today's era are going to be valued.
You're talking about a former big corner that got turned into a safety.
Yeah, to safety. So it's going to be valued. That's just the truth. That's what it is. But I will say this: like for Washington, the good thing is they got football play people in the rooms, and they got a coach who knows a defensive-minded coach, which is a defensive-minded coach who has had so much success in building a secondary. Either it was in Atlanta, either it was in Seattle, all three stops. So if you're a Washington fan, if they keep Cam Curl, just know that chances are he's going to improve Cam Curl. If they don't keep him, that tells you that he feels that he can do better without him. So,
if they keep Cam Curl is going to the Pro Bowl in the next year.
He should be. I agree.
He's going to be a Pro Bowler type player. Like,
yeah, I can see that definitely. So, but in terms of I'm a Washington fan, listen to the show. Just know whatever decision he does with Cam Curl, I feel like it'll work out.
Those price tags come with accolades and getting hands on the ball.
But I do agree with you, Mo. I do think that you don't have to. You can negotiate off like 11.
Yeah,
I feel like you do like 11.
I think that's respectable. I really do. Yeah, you're paying him for his future and time served.
Yeah, you're a projection, but you can also include what you have done to, like, you haven't warranted that kind of, like, you may warrant, like you said, Mo, maybe 9, but your projection gives you extra $2 million.
Yeah, it is. There it is.
You know what I'm saying? So I kind of agree with that, because I do think I totally agree with you. When I think of safety, I think ball hawk. I don't think cover is great, but ball hawk is like one of those things. Like, and then, that's why folks are talking about the kid in Baltimore. Kyle Hamilton. Yeah, just because of that.
The range
and the playmaking ability. It's a playmaking ability. So it is what it is. So
facts.
They should resign. So we already talked about who they should resign. All right. So who do you think that's like? That's a funny one. I want to say. Who do you think there's like no chance out of some of these players that we talked about, the main ones? There's no chance in hell they're going to like resign.
Joey Slye.
Joey Slye. I kind of like that one. Yeah. Definitely.
I think that's the most obvious.
I was going to say both the defensive ends. I feel like Two Hill.
I was about to say, I think Two Hill got to go.
I think everybody gassed up Two Hill, and then he didn't do nothing. I think he got to go. I think
Two Hill got to go. I think James Smith Williams may have some versatility because he does shade inside sometimes, and Seattle's DNs were noted for that back in the day with the Mebanes and all them and back to the Michael Bennett era. and whatnot. Not saying that he's clearly not that kind of player, but like the versatility, right? You got to have one of those guys that can do a little both. And if you're going to keep somebody that's already on the roster, James Smith Williams is the one that's that showed that already out of this list.
My man said Joey Sly with the rip, man. Why they keep Joey Sly?
Ooh.
Yo, not with all the kickers they got. There's no way in the world they keep Joey Sly.
Oh,
with all the
man.
kickers in the league and kickers going around, there's
I
no
bet
way
you-
you keep Joey Sly. Joey Sly was a Ron Rivera guy that can go.
Trust me, man. I know about the kicking situation. The Giants had 5 of them last year. It's a lot to
Graham
go
Gano's still a
around.
beast, though. Graham Gano's still a beast. He was hurt, right?
Yeah, Graham Gano got hurt, but it's
Yeah,
we
I love
had
Graham
5
Gano.
kickers last year, so it's a lot of kickers to go around.
I hope they re-sign Jeremy Reeves, though. I hope they do, because he's always tore his ACL. He's always a good. He was real good special
I
teams.
heard, that's the one I hope they resign. I hope they resign.
That's gonna hurt him. That torn ACL is gonna hurt him.
That's what I'm saying. I agree. That's what I'm saying.
But that's a quintessential type of Dan Quinn kind of guy with the versatility on,
you know what?
defense
True,
and special teams.
Special teams. That's
and
true.
Special teams, man.
Definitely true. Well, we'll talk about also as free agency gets closer. We'll talk about some of the people that the Washington should bring in. You know what I mean? We didn't want to be redundant. Talk about some free agents that they can bring in. We want to talk about their own free agents. When free agency hits, we'll talk about some of the guys they can bring in. Like I said, we'll probably talk about next week, probably try to tackle talking about some of these coaches, because the coaches tailor what we're talking about, right? It's all about that. I mentioned Ken Norton Jr. and he coached Cody Barton. So we'll kind of talk about that, him, Witt Jr.,
I'll
Cliff
tell you
Kingsbury.
this. With Ken Norton, it's going to be a lot of downhill thumping.
That's exactly.
That's coming.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll talk about, Cliff Kingsbury, and a lot of people want to talk about that and what that means. So we got something cooking for y'all. Don't get it twisted. But we're about to end this show. Before we end the show, we're gonna read some more. I'm gonna read off some particulars real quick. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Go Everything. Also tweet us at ABG_everything. Hit us up on IG at ABG_everything. And like our All Burgundy and Go Everything Facebook page. Make sure you subscribe to our All Burgundy and Go Everything YouTube channel as well. Appreciate the fellas for being on, man. Glen, Mo, appreciate y'all. We did the darn thing. Anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Go Everything, powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia. For ages. You dig? Deuces. We out.